be a repeat for you, but in the interest of everybody new in the call, I'm gonna just cover some points very quickly, just to make sure that we are all in the same page as for the basics. But then, of course, I will cover the advanced training. So, very, very quickly here, my role, and you're getting my screen, correct, Heather?
Yes, I am.
Great. Thank you very much for confirming. So I am your Adobe Sign Customer Success Manager, and my role is to help you be successful, get the value out of Adobe Sign. When Adobe closes a contract with a strategic customer like State of Arizona, they assign somebody like me as a strategic customer success manager to really help you deploy and adopt Adobe Sign and get the value out of Adobe Sign. So working closely together with you in understanding those business processes and see how we can map those processes to Adobe Sign so you get, again, the value out of Adobe Sign. That's my main role. And that's why I'm here, just to help you in this specific audience become more advanced or solve the specific questions that you may have. As a quick recap, Adobe Sign is Adobe's electronic signature solution. It's 100% cloud-based, software as a service, and you don't need to install or deploy anything on your site to use it. As you may already know, if you already have an account, you are already logging in and you are already working. An important reminder is that Adobe Sign can be used for many more things than just signing documents. You can use Adobe Sign to get forms filled, applications filled, or documents approved or accepted, or just to get a certified receipt that somebody got that specific document or terms and conditions, etc. So just a quick reminder that the tool is very powerful and it's not only enclosed or limited to signing documents. So this is, you're the advanced audience here, so you may already know many of the use cases that other customers are using Adobe Sign for, many self-service forms or mega sign processes where you need to send the same document to a large audience, internal documents, external documents facing citizens, publishing permits or applications or inspection forms, etc. So there's plenty of use cases that you may already be familiar with. So what are we going to be covering today? Assuming that you already know how to do a basic send for signature, I'm not going to be covering that. That was covered already in the basic or the beginner training earlier this morning, and we're going to have a repeat of that next Thursday. So I'm going to be focusing now on building a widget, sending a mega sign. I will also cover how to build an advanced template field with conditional fields, calculated fields, and also show you how to build an advanced workflow. All of this using the out-of-the-box signature features that come with Adobe Sign. So let me jump right into that. Go to my Adobe Sign account. So this is, as you already know, this is your Adobe Sign dashboard, and this is the one that you use for pretty much anything that has to do with Adobe Sign. Let's start with building a widget. So how to build a widget, it's a pretty simple process. You create a widget. Just to recap on what a widget is, remember that if you need to publish a form so somebody else starts the process and you don't know who that somebody else is, maybe it's a random employee or a citizen, and you don't know whether that person has access or an Adobe Sign account. So that's where you use widgets. So this is an example of a widget. This is a demo that I'm using in state of Genovia, and this is the Parks and Recreation web page, and here is where they publish a key request form application for the park rangers. So this would be an example of a widget. The park ranger goes to the State of Genovia Parks and Recreation webpage, and then he finds the link to the key request form, and then without having to have an Adobe Sign user account or anything, the park ranger is getting the form where he will have the opportunity to fill all the required information and sign the form. So just to recap, this is a widget. We're giving an external or internal person the ability to fill a form that we can publish, so they don't have to go and sign to Adobe Sign. So how do we create this form? Let's go to Adobe Sign again. Let me take a step back. This is my main page, my main Adobe Sign dashboard. I will click here where it says Create a Widget. The first thing that I need to enter is give this widget a name. So Arizona Test Widget. Let's use a usage policy or something like that, rather than a key request for a key. Here is where I define the role of whomever is submitting, like the park ranger in the past example. Do they need to sign, approve, or accept, or just fill the form? So I get to choose the role of that person. I'm going to choose a signer role. If I need to enter an additional type of authentication like password or social or KBA, knowledge-based authentication, if this is like a more complex form that I need to authenticate or I need to go to a higher level of authentication, then I can use knowledge-based authentication, for example. So we will be asking whomever is trying to fill this form data like, did you own a Jeep Cherokee 2010 or something like that? That's the information that, in this case, LexisNexis or other agencies, but we use LexisNexis, will use to establish an identity authentication. They will just cross-reference and tell us whether that is a valid authentication. So you can go more complex if you want on the authentication method. If not, it's okay. We will just use the regular email confirmation. So that signer, whomever it is, they will have to confirm on his or her email that they are the ones signing this form. On a widget, you can have many countersigners. So if that application or inspection or whatever I am publishing, in this case usage policy, needs to go to somebody else internally for a counter signature, I can enter here those countersigners, and I can enter here, I think, up to 25 countersigners. You can define the roles of these countersigners. They can also be signers, approvers, acceptors, form fillers, delegators, etc. However, you may already know there is a limitation on this out-of-the-box feature, that if I enter here 3 or 4 or whatever amount of countersigners, when, in this case, the park ranger or the employee signs the usage policy, it will go to all of these people. All of them are getting the document in the same exact moment. It's going in parallel. So I don't have a way to build a workflow. So the document goes first to this one and then to this one. No, I cannot do that here. That's a limitation of the widget. Another limitation of the widget is if this form was, for example, a travel or a reimbursement policy or something like that, the employee that is submitting this form doesn't have the opportunity to enter who the countersigners are. The countersigners are fixed and cannot be changed. So I would have to know who the supervisor or upper management are in this case. If you want to implement a use case like the one I just described, like publish a form and give that employee the ability to enter who is going to be approving, that can be done with a custom development that has already been delivered to State of Arizona, and you can just reach out to maybe Heather, that would be the proper channel, just to coordinate the use of that additional custom development. So it is available for you. It is not an out-of-the-box feature, and that is not going to be, therefore, something that I'm going to be covering today. But going back to the widget. So the widget, you define the participant role, you define the countersigner or countersigners if you have countersigners. Many times you don't have countersigners, you are just getting the application, or in this case, the usage policy signed, and that's it. I would use my usage policy here. For example, this one. I will just drag and drop the file that I want to convert into an electronic fillable and signable form. I can use the same as in the send experience. You can use Word, Excel, PowerPoint, any electronic document. You just drag and drop, and then you click Preview and Add Signature Fields. So you start creating your actual widget, your form or the fields that you want to add. So I'm going to be presented with the web authoring tool that you may already be familiar with. This is the flat file that I just uploaded. This is the internet usage policy that I want to publish as a widget. I need to enter the employee's name needs to be entered here, the date over here, and the signature will be placed over here. And that's it. As you can see, I am not sending anything. I am saving. So this widget will be saved and will be hosted by Adobe, and you need to provide this URL or this HTML code to whomever owns your web page. So whomever owns, let's say, let's go back to the state of Genovia example. Whomever owns the state of Genovia, whomever is the webmaster, you need to provide them the link so they include that link in your page. So if I just copy paste this link, you are going to see the widget that we just created. See? So this is the widget that we just created, and whomever fills this widget will have the opportunity, of course, to fill whatever information I am asking and click here to sign. In this case, I'm just signing as Fernando. That's okay. And then remember that a widget signer will have to confirm the signature afterwards. So I fill the form. Okay, I'm okay with this usage policy. The date is automatically entered there. Click to sign, and I need to enter my email address so I can confirm later on that it was indeed me, the one that signed this. This is how we establish the identity for when we're talking about a widget, because remember that we really don't know who is signing here. So I could be signing this on behalf of Heather or Mary or whomever. So this is not valid until I confirm. I will get an email notification on my email address, and then that's when this electronic signature becomes legally binding. So click here to sign, and then Fernando Amaya will be getting an email with that confirmation or asking for that confirmation. So if I am Fernando, like in this case I haven't changed personas yet.
Hey, Fernando, can we pause for a minute?
Sure.
Okay, great. So once more, everybody, if you are having audio problems, I double-checked with our WebEx guy, and he said most likely it is if you are playing the audio through your computer, it will continue to drop. But if you did a callback through the WebEx event, then you should not be having audio problems. But secondly, for a question, why does an email address fill in as default?
You cannot enter an email address as default. You mean for the signer?
Yes.
Yes, but because you are really publishing this form, let's go back to the original example. So in this case, this state of Genovia, Parks and Recreation Department, they are publishing this form, So whomever gets access to this, maybe they have thousands of park rangers, and they really don't know, and maybe they don't care about their email addresses. And more than likely they don't know. Imagine this is a form that you publish for your citizens. This is an inspection form. So you really don't know their email addresses, so you cannot enter a default email address. If when they click here, they will get the form, they will have the opportunity to fill the form, and they will be asked for their email address so we can establish the authentication, the identity authentication. So if I continue with the previous example, Fernando, who just signed the usage policy, after signing the widget, Fernando got this email from Adobe Sign. Please confirm your signature on this usage policy. So this is the actual confirmation, and this is where we are actually establishing the identity of the signer. I don't know if that was the question, if I answered.
Okay. Well, we do have another couple of questions. This question says, I presume, like most links, we are capable of renaming the URL address, name, or code to the preferred document name of the agency. Is that accurate?
The preferred name. So I don't know.
Can you rename the URL of the widget to be, for example, State of Arizona, travel form? I don't know.
Let me see if I am getting this correctly. So if I go back to the same example, like State of Genovia, you can see that I enter here whatever name I want to give to the form. It could be the State of Genovia request.
But we're talking about the URL?
Oh, the URL cannot be renamed. The URL is something that resides at Adobe. But remember that nobody really, you will see the URL once you have accessed the form, which is going to be this big URL. So no, this cannot be changed. This is the actual URL that hosts this specific form, and it's going to be different for, of course, every form. So this actual URL, and maybe you don't want to be sharing the big URL. You can embed this into an email, but more than likely you want to do something like this, like you include that URL on a vanity page or something like that, so it makes sense to whomever is accessing it.
Okay. And another question, is it possible to create a template for a widget?
No. You can create a widget and go back and edit the widget, but widgets are separate from templates. So like in this case, I created this widget and it's saved in my account. I can go back and edit the widget through my Manage tab. I can filter by widgets, and here it is. I can either get the code to that widget that I just created or edit the widget. But it's different than a template. Okay, so you can add or remove fields right here. That's okay, and then you save your. So you have a separate list. You have a list of templates, and then you have a list of widgets. Why do I make the difference? Because if you go to create a widget, you cannot use a library template, see? I can only drag and drop a fresh new file and create a widget, but I cannot use a template from my library, like the ones that I have here to create a widget. So they are separate.
Okay,
right.
Yes, please continue. We have no more questions at this time.
Perfect, thank you very much. So that is how you create a widget, that is how you publish a widget, and that is how we establish the identity of whomever is signing the widget. Back to the senders, or in this case, there is not an actual sender of the widget. There is an owner of the widget. So the owner of the widget gets access to the same way I get access to a file, any file that I have sent out for signature. I can access whatever widgets have been signed that I own. If I own this widget, like in this case, when I get the signed or approved, then I will get access to those. Let me see, did I confirm my signature? I haven't confirmed it. Okay, confirm my email address just to complete the signature process of the widget. So I can go back as the widget owner. I go back to my account, and if I go to signed document, I can see that I already have a widget signed. So Fernando Amaya signed this usage policy, and I can get access, of course, to the PDF that Fernando just signed, and I can download the PDF.
One more good question here. Will the edit of a widget be saved as a new document?
No. It is going to be, you're editing the same widget. So if I change something in my previous widget, like this one, this is the widget that we just created, I can edit. Let's say I need to add something here, whatever, a new field. I can save. And then when I access this widget, there is my edit, right? That's the field that I just added. But it's the same widget, the same one that we created, AZ test widget usage policy. Of course, you can create new widgets. I mean, you can just go and create a new one from scratch. Just by going to create widget. Remember that when you create a widget, you can edit the form itself by adding or removing or changing the functionality of the fields, but you cannot edit the countersigners. So once you enter countersigners, they cannot be changed. That would be probably another limitation that we can use the workaround and use the custom development that has been already delivered. All right, so that is widget. If there are follow-ups on follow-up questions on widgets, more than happy to cover them offline or in another session. Let me move to the next topic, which I think is also of high interest, which is sending a mega sign, because mega sign is very powerful, and knowing how to send a mega sign is simple, but it's important.
Fernando?
Yes, go ahead.
One last question on widgets before we move to MegaSign. What happens to the form after, let's say you edit the widget and you've added a field? What happens to the first widget? Does it save? Are you able to revert back to the original?
Well, you could revert if you just go and edit the widget. So you are just editing the previous widget. So if I go back to the widget, you remember that we had a first version, then a second version that I just added a field. I can just go back to the widget and realize, you know what, no, I really don't need this field. Get rid of the field and save the widget.
Okay.
And then where I access the widget, now it's going to be back to the previous version. Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
All right, welcome. So MegaSign. MegaSign conceptually is pretty simple and it's pretty powerful. So let me show you how to send a MegaSign. So MegaSign, you just click on MegaSign, and you could do this, like you could enter this, which is not practical. You could enter the first email address and then the second one and so on. But if you have 150, this doesn't make any sense just to type all of them here. So rather than doing that, I can import the recipient from a CSV file. Let me show you, before I upload, let me show you the actual CSV file so you know what is the format. So it is a CSV that can be opened in Excel. Sorry, it's opening up in my other monitor. Let me just drag and drop it here. So nothing, no rocket science, is a CSV file. Every column is a field, and every row is a participant. So this is Joe, this is Ron, this is Fernando, this is John, etc. And the information that I have in the columns is the information that if the field name in the template matches the title in this column, then it will be merged into the document. So I create a document that contains Joe Smith with Joe's title, with his phone number and zip code, and then another one for Ron, another one for Fernando, for John, etc. So this is the format that you need to have your CSV file in. If you don't know how to create this format, it's pretty easy to download a sample and then just fill in the blanks or the records or the rows. How do you do that? So before I upload, you can just download a sample CSV file, download the sample CSV file, and then use that sample or that template to populate with your actual real data. Okay? I already showed you the CSV that I have, so I will just upload my CSV that I have here in my computer, the one that I showed you, open. It's already there. And then what am I going to be sending out for signature? I can select from my document library, or I can upload. That's up to me. I mean, if I already have a template in my library, I can use it. Or in this case, just to make it even more powerful, I can just use something that I have in my computer. It's going to be the usage policy, which is a very common use case that the IT department sends the internet usage policy to all the users, all the employees in the specific department. I can preview and position the signatures and form fields. And from here, it's basically the same process as sending a regular document. So what is happening now? I am being presented with a document that was a flat document that I had in my computer. So I have the opportunity to enter, okay, the signature and the name and the date and whatever information I need. And remember that if I name these fields properly, if they match the name on the columns of the CSV, then the data will be merged. So that is very powerful because then the data is going to be pre-populated, and I am creating 200 or 150 different contracts with already the right information pre-populated. So remember, when you create your template for this form, you just edit and make sure that the name is the right one. Okay? And that's it. I can save this template to my library like a regular send or not, and then just send it. So right now, this document is being sent to, in this case, I think I have 4 or 5 participants in that CSV file. Each of them is going to have an email in their mailbox asking for that mega sign, for asking for the signature on the usage policy. A quick pause here to see if there are questions about mega sign, sending a mega sign, before I jump into the advanced template fields.
Hey, Fernando. So there was quite a few questions. I'm just still kind of going through them. One thing that keeps coming up from a few different people is that you said that widgets cannot be saved as templates. Does that just mean we always have to create a new widget every time that we need a new document?
Okay, that's a great question because, yeah, I think I need to clarify that. So widgets can be saved as widgets. So you don't need to create or recreate the widget every time you need to send a widget. Like in this case, if I go back to the example that we just did, I just go to my Manage tab, and if I filter by widget, these are all the widgets that I have created in the past. So they are saved. They are saved, and I can get the code to republish them, or if I want to copy-paste this URL and send it over the email, I can do that. That's okay. And it's saved. So it is saved. It is different than templates just because we have two different lists. If I just go to my Manage tab, I can filter and get my widgets. There you are, all my saved widgets. But I also have my library templates. So the difference is that the library templates I can use for a regular send or a mega sign. They can be used for a regular send or a mega sign. The widget, whatever I created here and saved, it is only saved to be and live and die only as a widget. It cannot be used in the regular send, or it cannot be used in the mega sign. It can only be used as a widget, but it is saved.
Okay.
So you have a library of widgets, so to speak.
Okay, so kind of along the same lines, is it possible to copy a widget and recreate it as a new widget?
Unfortunately, no. You would have to, if you want to have two widgets, different widgets, then you would have to create a new one from scratch.
Okay. And where can they locate the CSV template to download for MegaSign?
Sure. So go to your dashboard, which is the main page. You go to the very beginning, go to MegaSign, and click where it says Import Recipients and Merge Fields from File. You will get this pop-up window where you will find Learn more about, download a sample CSV file. When you click there, you're going to be getting this file right here. It's already downloaded in my computer. It's a template. It's just a CSV file that will put the columns in order. And remember that in this, whenever you are creating your actual CSV file, this is a template that you are going to be getting with false or dummy information, like Casey and Jane Doe, etc. You need to change these column headers to match the names of the fields in your specific template or form. So the data that you have here is actually merged. So this is how you create or get the template, to answer the question. Okay?
Yes, and one more question. Let me pull. If you edit a widget, will it change the URL?
Every time that you edit the widget, you will have the opportunity to republish the URL. So I think the question, and that's a good question. I don't know the answer, but we can just test it out. So if I had published, like for example, let's use the state of Genovia. We have the key request form. The URL is already embedded in that landing page, correct? So let's do a quick test. We answer that, and you also go through the same process of editing the widget. I think this is going to be useful. So I will filter my widgets. And let me see if I do have the demo key request. This is, I think, the one. Yes. Edit. Should be the one. Let me see. Yes, this is the one. Let's just add something crazy here so it's visually friendly. So data fields, let's add, I don't know, whatever, something there. Let's say that now the park ranger needs to add his photo. Save. Okay, and I haven't, or it is now saved, but I haven't sent the new, if there is a new URL, I haven't sent it to the webmaster. So what happens if I just go to the State of Genovia web page and access the key request form, and let's see what happens. Yeah, it is automatically. So good news. It was automatically refreshed. I didn't have to update the URL in the landing page. So good news. And we learned something today.
Awesome. Great. Thank you, Fernando. I don't have any more questions at this time if you want to continue.
Perfect. So let me jump right into, because I think we have like 10 minutes to cover the next part. Actually, I don't think that will be enough. Let me try and summarize it. Yeah, let's go over the advanced template fields. I'm going to try and cover that in like 5 minutes, and then the advanced workflows, which I think are going to be very useful for you, in another 5 minutes. So advanced template fields. So let's create a template library. And actually, in order to do this faster, let's use one that I already created, and I will explain you on the fly. So if I go to my template library, filter by library templates, I already created this template, which is, I am using the expense reimbursement form that you sent me, Heather. So I will edit that template, and you can see that there is, this is a simplified version. I am not using all the fields because it will be just too time-consuming. But let me explain you a couple of very useful, more advanced features. So the first feature that I wanted to cover here is these fields right here are pretty basic. This is a date, this is an amount, and this is a description. So remember, you just drag and drop the fields here, and then you right-click and edit the field, and you give it a meaningful name for you. Like I didn't in this case, I just put in a custom field. This could be item description, item 1 description, or something like that. That's okay. This field specifically here, the amount on the first one, if I right-click and edit, I gave it a meaningful name for me because I know that I'm going to be using that field or the contents of that field to calculate a total. So I don't get lost on custom 1, custom 2, custom 3, etc., and the default names. I gave this a meaningful name for me. So this is amount 1, and this has to be a number. So I don't want a user to enter text when I am going to be calculating something. So 2 things: meaningful name and validation that needs to be a number. Okay? The same for the second amount in the row. The same thing. Edit the field. This is amount 2, require field, and this has to be a number. I did that because I have a third field here, and if I right-click on this field, this is the total. I don't need the user to enter the total. I want Adobe Sign to calculate the total, so there's no mistake. So if I click on that field, I can just drag and drop a text field, give it a meaningful name, like in this case, total, and then this is not going to be an entered value by the user. Instead of entered value, this is going to be a calculated value. And what is the formula? I enter my formula here. So I just named the 2, and that is why I gave them meaningful names. So I sum amount 1 plus amount 2, and that is going to be the calculated field. There is way more complex formulas that you can just browse and learn later rather than basic math, date, logic, etc. But I think it was very useful to show you the concept. So you can insert calculated fields. So that is a calculated field. Another type of field that is very useful. So let's imagine that when you are submitting this form, if you belong to a specific agency, then you need to enter additional information. But if you work for any other agency, you don't need to enter anything. So this is going to be a conditional field. I am going to show or not show this field based on the answer the user gives me to the agency name. And you can see that I made the agency name field. This is not a text. This is a drop-down. So in order to create this drop-down, I just go to data fields and drag and drop the drop-down here, and once I drag and drop and position that field, I right-click, edit, give this one a meaningful name for me. I enter the options that are going to be appearing in that drop-down list, DOA, Economic Security, Industrial Commission, etc. I enter all the agencies, and this over here is the field that is going to be showing depending on the answer of the agency, just to show you the concept. So if I right-click, this is a regular text field. If I edit the regular text field, you can see that I have a condition. So I will show this field if select agency, the drop-down, equals to DOA. If not, I will not even show this one. So this is a conditional field. This is also very useful. This also is very powerful for applications, like depending on whether you are, I don't know, it makes sense if you are male or female, then I will ask some type of questions rather than others, or if you are from the state rather than out of the state, I will show other type of questions. So this is a conditional. So I show you the calculated, the conditional, the drop-down, and I also wanted to show you how to mask. So in this case, you are asking for a type of identification number, which I would assume for this case, or for this specific example, needs to be masked. Let's say this is like a social security number that needs to be there, but I don't want the next participant in the queue to see the actual number. So very easy. Just right-click, edit, and click here where it says mask field data. Okay? So that's very quickly some more advanced features, calculated fields, conditional fields, drop-down, and masking fields that I wanted to cover today.
All right, two quick questions about the form. The first question is, can a form be created, for example, in Acrobat and then be sent from Adobe Sign, or how does that work?
Yes, yes, absolutely. In your case, I didn't use the form. The original form that you sent me had a lot of fields already, and it was already created in Acrobat, which is good, which is great. You can just use those fields. I didn't in this case because I wanted to simplify it. So I didn't have the time to just go through all the fields and edit them, but you can. That is actually a best practice. We recommend creating your form in Acrobat and then just drag and drop that form into the page where you create the template. Absolutely.
All right, and the next question is, can you import a drop-down list in the form?
Unfortunately not. You would have to enter for this field, you would have to enter
so if we have 130 agencies, we have to enter each one?
You would have to enter them, yes. I don't know if a copy-paste would work here, but yeah, you would have to enter, yep.
All right, well, you've got about 5 more minutes if you want to move on to the next item.
Yeah, I want to cover the workflow. So let's continue with the same example. I'm going to be creating, or actually editing, a workflow, so I have time. How to create a workflow. So you go, if you are an account admin or a group admin, you go to the account or group tab and then just search for the word workflow. Go to workflows and you are going to be accessing your workflow list. If there is a new workflow, you just click on the plus sign and you will create a workflow. I will access this one that I just created like 5 minutes before we started the meetings today. It's because it's very easy, really. You click on this one, which is Arizona Expense Reimbursement Test, and then I will just open this one and show you the different components. So if you click on the plus sign, you will get exactly the same screen that I am showing you. The difference is that I only have pre-populated this information, so it's faster. So you give the workflow a name. You can enter specific instructions for the sender. If there is the agreement information, this is the subject of the email and the message of the email that the participants are going to be getting. The recipients, this is where you define your workflow and you give them names. So in this case, we're talking about the expense reimbursement form. So I gave the first participant the claimant name and then the supervisor. But I can just add more, define whether the role is going to be assigner or approver, and change their name to whatever, manager or whatever. Okay? And I can just keep on adding people to the workflow. And you can change the roles, etc. So recipients, emails is whether you want them to receive all the notifications. So this is a matrix. So when the agreement starts, who gets a notification? The sender, and you have the option to enter a CC. When the agreement moves to the next step, who do you want to get the notification, and so on. So it's a pretty simple matrix. And then the document is where you select the template. The template that I just created, that I was showing you, this is where I just add the document and select it from my library. I add it here, and that's it. I don't have to edit the template because the template is already edited. Remember, it's already created. And that's it. When I go to, I can save and activate, or in this case, I didn't make any change, but I can update the workflow. So this is how I created a workflow. What is going to happen if I am a regular user? If I am a regular user, when I access my dashboard, not only I will have access to libraries that have been shared with me by somebody else in my organization, I can also get access to workflows that were shared with me. So somebody else created this Arizona expense reimbursement test one, so I can select this one and click Start. And I don't have to worry about creating the workflow. The workflow is already there for me. And you can see that the claimant is fixed. I cannot change it because that was the way the workflow was defined. So I cannot change the employee because that's me. That has to be me. But I can change who the supervisor is. Okay, I know my supervisor is Ron or Joe or whomever. I enter the email address of my supervisor. Then I get the opportunity to change if I need to change the document. And please, Ron, sign this expense reimbursement. This is the trip I told you about yesterday, something like that. The document, I cannot change the document. The document is already created for me, so I just click Send. And then Ron is going to be getting the request to approve this expense reimbursement. So that was very quick, but I think you get the idea. In this case, since I am the sender and I am the employee, of course I get the opportunity to enter the information that I need to enter. So $100 or $100 for, I don't know, meals, and then $250 for a hotel. And you can see that the calculated field is working. And you can see that if I select DOA, this field here is showing up. If I select a different agency, this is going away. So this is an example of calculated field, drop down, conditional, and then masking. I need to enter a number, but that number will be masked, will be replaced by, the number is going to be there, but visually I'm going to be getting stars, so nobody else sees that number. So I am the employee, I enter the information, and then I am ready to go. This will be just sent to the next participant. I can just click here, click sign, and then this one will go to my manager for him to approve. And that's it, Heather. I think we're left with only 3 minutes to try and cover any last-minute question. And of course, more than happy to have follow-up sessions. And actually, we have another session at 2 p.m., no? So if there are more questions, we will have more time, I guess, there.
Yeah, that's 11 a.m. Arizona time, 2 p.m. your time.
All right.
So, yes, actually, there's just one question that's outstanding, and that's going to be back on the forms. Can you save a field that is already created if you know you're going to use it over and over, kind of like a drop-down or counties or agencies, if you've created it once and you want to use it on another form that you create?
Yeah, I get what is the pain point there. It is saved in the template, but if you want to reuse that same drop-down for another template, no, there's no way to export or to reuse that object. It lives only inside that specific template. So yeah, unfortunately, you will have to recreate them.
Okay, and one more question about forms. Can you make all fields required?
Yes, absolutely. You can just check on the box, and yes, you can make them all required.
At the same time?
No, you will have to go one by one.
Okay.
If I go to my templates here, well, I don't have time to show, but yeah, you have to go one by one. Like this. So there's no way to select. You can select them and delete them in bulk, but you cannot change like their settings. You will have to go one by one, edit, make it required.
But once you do it the first time, then and you save it as a template, then it remains there unless you edit it.
Of course, yeah.
Okay. I don't see any more questions. We will be starting the next session in about 5 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and end this session. Thank you all for attending. The next session is just going to be more of an open forum. We do have a use case that we can show just to get things started. But if you guys have a lot more questions or want to see something specifically, that's the time that we've allotted for that. All right. So I hope that you'll join us, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.